What's up, True Fitness family? Welcome to another episode of the True Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Conway. As usual, please comment below and give me a topic to address. Something that is going to spur along your health, fitness, and performance, and or something that you're just curious about in the field. And it could even go as far as mindset, things that I do with my clients, or ways that you could develop as a coach. One of the things that I wanted to plug on this episode is our mentorship, which is available. It is a 6-month commitment. You get one call with me every week, and I can go over further details in regards to cost and what you could expect from the experience. But if you're interested in leveling up your coaching, all right, and this looks like from a coach that works in an affiliate, a coach that works as a coach and they're trying to make it a profession instead of a part-time gig, or someone who's looking to make more of a presence for themselves online. I've been fortunate enough to help. Right now, it's been only guys, but some young men through their journey in the recent year and a half or so, and it's certainly opened up some different ideas and ways that I can pour into people and really help those who are in situations that I likely had been in the past prior to making this a means of providing for my family and our future. So, nonetheless, I am bringing on clients. You can schedule a call with me. Go to truefitness.com, TTRUfitness.com, and you can interview for a position. Of course, I want to make sure that it's going to be a great fit for you and also a great fit for me. I could go over all the details there, but it's a solid investment in increasing, the return on all your efforts as trying to become a pro coach. So feel free to reach out there. You could also try to send me a DM or comment below. If you don't know where to get a hold of me, you can find me on Instagram at Adrian Conway _ same as you can find me on YouTube. I want you to all please subscribe to this channel as I'm trying to make some headway and start to grow it a little bit, to allow the message to carry just a little bit further. Today, the topic is basically how to get sponsors, and here is what was addressed. At JimBob-EG7VG said, I'd love to hear about the social media / business side of being a CrossFit athlete. Keys to success with sponsorships, and such. Well, Jim Bob, to answer your question directly or to try to dive in headlong, it's a pretty simple thing, right? If you get into this sport, you can't get into this sport desiring sponsors. If you get into this sport, you can't get into this sport to really desire um, a partial return or to not be great or to not go to the CrossFit games or to not X, Y, and Z. Like, you kind of have to have those desires, and it has to be your heart. And I say that because it's very hard. It's not guaranteed a great return. There are going to be thousands and thousands and hopefully millions and millions of people through the course of the existence of this sport that are going to have no success, which means they just don't have it genetically. They don't have it in their mind, and they don't have the opportunity to make it big. This is a hard truth, but it's a truth that needs to be spoken more often. I believe that a lot of athletes come to me and they believe that if they put forth the hard work, that it will be given to them and an opportunity will happen. And then sometimes they don't, and they're like, hey, what went wrong? And you just weren't good enough. And I hope that everyone takes that with a grain of salt. I'm someone who tried to go to the CrossFit Games on several occasions. Injury kept me out on 2 of them. And I made it one year in 2015, and I finished 21st at the CrossFit Games that year. Had some great memories, and it was a great experience. But throughout my history, I've been a team guy. I made it in 2012 on a team, and we won the CrossFit Games. I made it on 2013 in the CrossFit Games, and we won them again. And then in 2017, I put together another ragtag group of people, and we won it in 2017. More notably, we beat the Mayhem that year, and we're the only team to ever beat those guys. So we got a lot of attention for that. But the point is, I tried to make it 3 years as an individual, and it didn't happen. I made it one of them, and I thought I always had what it took from a fitness perspective, but I didn't have what it took durability perspective. And I didn't have what it took up here to be disciplined and trust my training enough to dial back on the volume so that I could physically perform at my best. I was eaten alive by personal insecurities, wanting to be the very best, thinking that I needed to be beat up. I needed to be high tolerant. I needed to be all these things, all these very hard lessons that I try to currently and constantly, and even through the history of my coaching career, give to my athletes so they can learn through my mistakes and the ways that I saw a lot of my peers set back, especially when the sport was very young, and it's still in its infancy for sure. I say all of that to create this clear picture on where your heart has to be. You have to be one of those people who really, 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 really loves the process. And I could add a few more really, reallys to that. Because if you can't get lost in the nuance of training and love being in the gym and love being in your garage and love training alone, you can't have this. Like, you can't have this. You can't have this elite level fitness and want to keep it through your years. You can't have this fame on social media and expect people to want to hear what you say or to buy what you're promoting, because it won't ooze from your skin. It won't be obvious that you live it, right? And you might garner an audience because you're very attractive. Men want to be with you, or women want to be with you, and people want to be like you. But when it comes to actually moving product and bringing value to these brands that you might want to pursue, you will have a little, because you're not obsessed with the process. So this is what I lead with. So that we get the context of like why people need to start this sport, because it's not for this. It's not for sponsorships. Sponsorships can be a tool and a utility so that you can have more freedom to train better. Here's the problem that I have with a lot of people coming up in the sport. I think we have it backwards. I think that athletes want a profession to work out. I think that you should want to work out so much. And then you should see that you need, in order to achieve such a high level, that you need help so that you can work less. I think they have it opposite now, where it's like, oh, I want this as a job. And then they try to go find sponsors, and then they try to do the things so that they can be a full-time athlete. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think it's necessary to be a full-time athlete and make it in this sport. I think that we have plenty of examples of people that make it to the CrossFit Games and do very well that work. And I think that if people do it well and they are sponsored and they do it at a high level, they start to understand that social media is actually a job in itself. How to get them, how to get your sponsors, you win. You be relevant. When you win and you are relevant, you don't need to be able to speak like me. You don't need to be able to present to an audience like me. You don't even need to be able to create conviction like me, because you're a winner. And when you win, people listen to you and they watch you. You don't need to say a word, but they're looking and they're curious. They're like, man, how did he get that? Man, I see him drinking from that X brand water bottle. I see him drinking from that. I see him working out with them Rogue barbells. I see him wearing these clothes, right? Win. And it solves a multitude of questions, answers a multitude of questions, and solves a multitude of problems. So that's my first statement, right? Is that if you win and you are good, they'll come knocking. If you are more mortal than you are rare, you got to have a little bit of this. You got to have a little bit of savvy, right? So I got into this space, and I competed on a team. We won the CrossFit Games, and so we had leverage, because then we told people we were going to do it again next year. And we could actually go to sponsors and say, hey, you see how bad we beat everybody in 2012? Well, we're going to come back and do it again next year. We'd like some support. And we reached out and we hustled. Tommy Hackenbrook had tremendous resources for us, because he also finished second at the CrossFit Games as an individual back in 2009. And he finished second to Miko Salo. And with that considered, it's one of those things where I kind of watched him and the way he worked and leveraged relationships by saying things like, hey, we have a team, we're going to win the CrossFit Games. If you want your brand on us, let me know, and we'll see what that relationship can look like. I treated relationships like that onward. Even after we finished at the CrossFit Games, I had brands. I personally reached out to them. I didn't need a middleman. I don't need somebody to do a deal for me. I don't need somebody to speak for me. I don't know why that's such a common thing in the space. And I think for a handful of athletes, for sure, it's definitely necessary. I think for a lot of other ones, I don't know that it's necessary. Nonetheless, I could have these conversations with a brand. I could tell them exactly what I'm looking for, what I need, why I think I bring them value, and I'd present that information to them. And then they would come back to me, and I would also present that information to another brand. And then they would come at me, and I would and then I would go back to the first brand that I reached out to, and I would say, hey, I really appreciate your offer, but I want to let you know that this other brand is offering me this, and I'd really love to work with you. But, and then they might be like, we'll get you for this. And then I would work it out, right? But I did not have the fear to be told no, and I did not have the fear to be denied in any kind of way. And so I had the audacity to go after and get them. Now, I also understood this about myself. I can present information. I've been doing it my entire life. I like to help educate people. And I know that if I want to represent a brand, I'm a salesman in a way. So I think that a lot of brands that I worked with saw me in that light as well. And they were willing to make those investments in me as an athlete, because even if I didn't go to the games that year, I was still going to be a heck of a representation. The other thing apart about this is character. So we got performance first, win. We got have the audacity to ask for things, number 2, but you have to know what value you bring. And then number 3 is just your personality and your character. Like, what do you stand for? Who are you? Because rarely do people follow me necessarily just for nutrition or fitness advice. They follow me because they either like the way I speak about things and I have conviction about them, or the way that I feel about my spirituality. And of course, there are other people who then oppose those things. But what you have to understand is that when you actually stand for something, there's a lot of other people who will stand with you. But if you are someone who's just kind of like going through the whims of life and you have nothing that you stand for, you don't stand for anything particular, you don't have a strong voice about anything, well, cool. You'll just end up being thrown by the wayside. People will ignore you. They'll understand or make assumptions that you're trying to be a people pleaser. Um, Character is a big part of it. A brand wants to align with you. Now, here's the hard truth. Okay. There are athletes who do perform well, but they're not the best. There are athletes who even perform the best and they can't move the needle for a brand. You have to sell my stuff. How do you get sponsors? Sell my stuff, bro. Athletes, I think, don't get this. I owned a supplement company. I co-founded a brand called FNX. We worked with 30 plus athletes throughout our 6 years of in existence. And the brand still exists somewhere out there. It's owned by someone else. My business partner and I got out of it several years ago. We constantly had conversations of return on investment with each other about our athletes. Hey, what's the return on this person? Hey, we pay this person $2,000 a month. What's the return on their account? What's their return on their code? Because we don't want to align with people just to align with people. Now, there are brands out there that I've watched come up in the CrossFit space and then disappear just as quickly who did those things. They didn't get a return when they exited their business. They had to get out of their business because they were failing miserably. They weren't churning a profit every year. They were banking on being in debt and getting investments from outside sources. We weren't doing business like that. And so we couldn't do business like that. We weren't just throwing up Hail Marys. We did everything very intentionally. So when I'm working with athletes, even as a coach, I'm advising them, hey, if you're gonna get a sponsor, you got to bring them value. So if you're working with a knee sleeve sponsor, guess what you need to do? Sell some knee sleeves. And I don't mean you literally need to sell some knee sleeves, but you need to figure out what about your image, what about the way you use it, what about the way you post for it is going to sell these knee sleeves. And I don't care what you win, because you can go win the CrossFit Games. And if I got to pay you $10,000 every time you win an event, that's good for you and you're winning. I love it. I love supporting athletes. But if I don't get more than $10,000 back, that actually doesn't make sense for me. That's called a loss. Again, let's think about Michael Jordan. Let's think about Rich Froning. Rich Froning is the Michael Jordan of our sport. Okay. You could put anything on Rich and it will sell. And I'm sorry, but it can't be copied. You can't copy what he's got, because he's got what is called it, right? Women want to be with him. Men want to be like him. Oh, he's hunting now? Cool. What gun? I'll buy 2. Oh, he's lifting with the barbell. What's it called on there? What are the initials on the back of it? Awesome. I'll buy 6. The shoes he's wearing? Yeah, thank you. Put those in the wish bin for Christmas, honey. I would like a few of those. I mean, it's just true, right? The guy's got it. And he nailed it with the timing of the sport, the way he dominated the sport. We can thank him for this radical growth of the sport because of that. All those things. Matt was the fittest in history. Matt don't got it. You can't just dress him in anything like Rich. And I mean, I hope he would take no offense to this, because it's facts, right? You can't. He wouldn't have the same. He might have had better deals because he came along later, right? People were smarter about negotiating. I'm sure O'Keefe took great care of him. And a lot of you listen to this might not even understand what I'm trying to portray here, but there's certain things about certain people that cannot be replicated or emulated. And a lot of people going after sponsors don't have it. So why do you expect the money for it? That's another segue of it. Another consideration is, are you willing to be like a social media prima donna, right? There are athletes who really, from a categorical perspective, deserve sponsorship. Um, there are a lot of athletes in our sport that are very successful, some of the fittest people in the business that don't have that much following. They're not going to get same dollar bills, unfortunately, because unfortunately we live in a world and we play a sport where so much of it takes place on social media and on YouTube, that it really comes down about the image and the likeness, and also the value by the eye traffic that you get, the click traffic, all that kind of stuff. And there are a lot of people that are much lesser athletes, much lesser, and they make a lot more money. Is it fair? No, it's not fair. Does it matter? Nope, because life ain't fair. So that's just the way it rolls. If you don't like it, play a different sport or win. Winning so solves all of that. You win, you're going to get big dollars, period, bottom line. You don't win, you're going to be left to like, oh, how well can I talk? Oh, how do I need to look more so people want to look at me more? Oh, how do I relate to these people more so they want to buy that? Oh, right? Like you got to make it's harder, but if you win, it cures everything. I think that Yeah, I think that's it for the most part. I think I hit most of the aspects in regards to support or sponsorship that you think. You got to have the audacity to ask, you got to win, you got to have an image and likeness that is worth investing in, but you have to get a return. If you find a way to get a return, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Best One of the best athletes I ever worked with, Jacob Hebner. Shout out Hebner. This man is an entrepreneur in his mind and in his soul and in his being in every way, shape, or form. He's got his hands in more than you'll ever guess. And having conversations with him and my business partner, Skylar Farnes, and we had conversations with him where we were like, we came away literally taking value from him in a business meeting about our business, about the way that we handle things, about that we acquire customers, the way that we handle those customers, the way that we handle our other athletes, all these kind of things. And so we worked with Jake for a while, and I hope that he felt that we took great care of him when we did. And so, but he brought value. You see, he brought value even outside of his image and likeness and his account or his social media presence or him winning the CrossFit Games, which he hadn't won the CrossFit Games, but he'd gone to the CrossFit Games. But he had a great personality also. Okay, he's a funny guy. He gets clicks, he gets likes, he draws attention because of how he carries himself from a personality perspective. And he's a good dude. The list is too long for me to directly recall some of the big athletes that we worked with, but it was a lot of them. And I had to have some very hard conversations with people. We had to let people go. We had to terminate contracts. We had to do all kinds of things because that's the way business works, right? Again, if we weren't noticing a return, like we weren't going to re-up someone's contract. And I also wasn't going to offer someone more money than we could get in return from them. Like I don't know how other businesses function and do their business, but that's not what we were doing. No way. But we wanted to have a successful business. And so I think a lot of people, they allow managers and they allow athletes to sell them these dreams of like, well, you're going to get a lot of eyes on you. That's cool. I can go get a lot of eyes on me for way cheaper than $5,000 a month that you want me to pay your client. And get a lot more traffic, in fact, and be able to track exactly when those dollars come back in my bank account because the return on investment is way more direct than sponsoring someone. So I hope this unveils a little bit of some of the considerations that I would make as a supplement business owner. Clearly, I'm out of that business now, and all I do is coach. Thank goodness, because I didn't necessarily like all that business side of things. It wasn't my cup of tea. I like hard work, and I like to help people work hard to achieve their dreams, and that is why I'm here as coach and Coach Conway. I hope that answered your question a little bit. Again, as usual, thank you guys for your patience and tuning in for another rant here on the True Fitness Podcast. I got a couple topics lined up that are directly, more influenced by health, fitness, and performance and mindset. So we'll dive into those here in a little while. I'll start recording those in the next few days or next couple of weeks. But nonetheless, team, enjoy wherever the rest of the day lies for you. Have a positive mindset. Put a smile on your face for no reason other than to flex the muscles there, because muscle memory is a real thing. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video, share it with someone. And if this one didn't resonate with you, I understand, because it was a specific question. And stay tuned for future episodes. Don't forget, we've got 7 days of free training of all access right here. All you got to do is scan that QR code. And then also, I'm not sure when this is going to launch, but on April 28th, 2025, we are launching Summer Shred Rise 45. It's a 45-day challenge. We have it linked directly on our website. So visit ttrufitness.com if you're interested in having something to get your butt in gear for the summer and getting some of the best shape of your life. And also be able to start practically applying habits that can last for a lifetime and not just through these 45 days. This is not some kind of unsustainable approach to getting fit. This is something real, attainable. It gives you autonomy. You don't have to be perfect, but you can get pretty shredded in 45 days and keep the process rolling. We hope to educate you throughout that time. We hope to inspire you, and we hope to help you rise to different levels. So have a great day. Keep rising.